happy you're here.
So happy you're here.
So happy you're here. Welcome into our podcast named So Happy You're Here. I'm Erin. This is Becky. And I'm so happy you're here, my love.
I'm happy you're here.
Hey,
we just missed your singing. That was beautiful.
Becky had me test the microphone before we started, and I was really ripping some great songs.
Can you hear yourself? Do you like this level?
I can hear everything, but I mean, it's hard not to hear me because I'm a very loud lady. No matter how hard I try to
she
be
just
mysterious.
gave us the rose.
Some say love. That's how I auditioned for the River City Singers, which was my high school show choir. I made the team, and if you've listened to me at all over the last 10 years, after I made the show choir, they asked me to actually not sing, just lip sing, and they were using me for my dance skills and basically horrified at my singing skills.
Were you devastated when you heard that, though?
Yeah, it was really hard for me to hear, but then somehow, because of this extraordinary amount of confidence that my family gave me, I was still like, they're lucky to have me.
That's right.
I mean, I got those hips moving. I had a kickball change happening.
And was your lip syncing? Was it very expressive?
You should have seen me during You Ain't Never Had a Friend Like Me from Aladdin. It was wild. Very good. Very over the top. And I had no idea that I still was terrible. They just had me there as a body filler for dancing.
Wait, was Glee, the TV show Glee, a good representation of show choir? Because we didn't have it. Did we have it in our era, my era? Older folks, please chime in.
I mean, Glee is like the exaggerated version of it.
Well, it's so much sexier.
Yeah, not sexy whatsoever.
Were the River City Singers?
The River City Singers wore a gold lame skirt and a black blouse.
Wait, how old are you at this point?
I'm in high school. So I was in high school, and I heard through the grapevine in high school, because there wasn't, where I grew up, a ton of resources for college.
Yeah.
Like when I told my family I was going to college, they're like, say, no, that sounds nice. Like there wasn't.
Right.
So I had heard through the grapevine.
Would you have been one of the first people to graduate in your family, though?
From a 4-year, I think. Yep. I had some cousins who went to 4-year ahead of me. And then maybe one or two of my gigantic family, like a 4-year degree. A lot of people did like an associate's or.
Totally. Yep.
Whatever. But, okay. So I heard through the grapevine, I can't remember who told me, that the more activities you're in, the better it looked on your application for college.
Looks terrific.
So like I do, go big or go home, I auditioned for River City Singers, even though I'm tone deaf, made the team. I became the manager of the football team, even though I was also on the cheer and dance team.
How did you manage from the sidelines?
I joined forensics.
Oh, that's debate, right?
Mm-hmm. So for football, to answer your question, I would manage at the away games and then cheer at the home games.
Okay.
I think. Oh, no. I was on the cheer team. This is what happened. It was the 90s. I was on the cheer team. Then I went to the dance team. And when I was on the dance team, then I could be a manager and just dance at halftime.
Oh, got it.
Manage. It was a very difficult job managing that team.
And we talked about this the other day. Erin has been involved in dance forever and through her adult life too.
Yeah.
But now one of our viewers said,
what?
Now, Becky, what were you involved in? And I was like, now, why do you imagine it wasn't dance as well?
I think well, based on our last dance moves, it looks like you are the dancer, not me. Something weird happened with my backside, and we were trying to do a little pop and lock.
Oh, yeah. We were trying to do that thing, remember, where you bring it through your arms, you go down your body, you come out, and then send it.
I just think I was going too hard on the twerk.
Okay.
Like, when you sent it to my body, I went straight like...
It was like electricity.
It was, wow. So anyway, neither here nor there. Nobody needs to know about my lack of show choir. But we did start this episode with me singing my audition song that I never sang again. So we're so happy you're here. Becky and I decided a few episodes ago that since most of us met with us hosting fashion shows at our network.
Yes.
We thought we should always kick off with just a little tip of fashion every episode. And you had one that you wanted to talk about this week.
I have a show, don't tell. This is a premise of our work.
Oh, okay.
Don't just talk about it. If you can demonstrate it, you should demonstrate it.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about my value shopping the other day. Close your eyes.
Yeah, Becky loves like a good deal.
Wait, do you know where your Schutz boots are? Your white ones?
Boots, yes.
Can you go get them?
They're downstairs.
Oh, it's too far.
Well, it's not too far, but you're here alone. Can you be here alone?
Here. I don't know. Should I keep you entertained while Erin goes and gets them?
Just tell me, what is it?
Does this look familiar to you?
Are those mine?
These are mine.
Becky, you bought my boots.
I bought the
And they're
exact
cute.
same boots.
I don't blame you.
So this is a 9.5.
Okay.
Okay.
So those are not mine.
No, Aaron wears like a 6.5 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
What do you wear?
I technically can wear a 6, but since it's such a wide foot,
Yes.
I often go up to 6.5 or 7. I
Okay.
have my foot looks just like Fred Flintstone's, if you remember that.
Clearly someone has worn these.
Okay. Yeah. You bought a
Right?
used pair of boots.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at the price. Tell the viewer what the price
How do
is.
$238?
$238.
Okay. That's worth it. Those boots are great. I wear them all the time. I get compliments on them. Little Western up top, nice pointed toe below. They're actually super comfortable. And I didn't need to size up in these.
What year did you buy these boots?
I think I bought those not last year, but the year before.
Okay.
Either early last season, so it would be an early like fall 2023,
But like ahead
or it
of
would
it.
have been a late 2022 winter.
All right. So
Okay,
what
go.
I'm here to tell you is that we talked about Opit's Outlet last week or
The outlet store that
recently.
you love shopping at in Minneapolis.
Those were $23, you guys.
Your boots were $23.
Yes.
Hey
Because of, I
now.
told you the 70% off. This was like, I think I got them 90% off of retail. Here's the deal though.
Making money
Make
moves.
But I wanted to describe this to you guys because this is how I shop. Saw the boots on Aaron, loved them, so cute. And I was like, that's a little much for me. Like, I'm not sure I can pull off that look. I'm not sure how to style them. Loved them for her. Enough time goes by. I've seen her wear them and style them. My favorite way is with a long, silky kind of a midi.
Yeah, that's a perfect dress.
And enough time went by so that when I was at Opit's, those are 9.5, those are my size, $20. Now it's my speed. But this is the thing about our girls,
Yes.
right? Like not everybody is going to be on the bullet train that wants to be at the first stop immediately. You need to see it. You need to like ease into it. And by the way, you want to spend $20.
Well, you also don't see the value in spending full price. So when I saw those full price, I'm like, great value. I have worn them no less than 100 times.
So your price per wear math is mathing.
Totally. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to rub it in your face, but I think I got a better value. I'm wearing them more than you are, baby cakes.
But this is the thing. Like for me to go on a new thing, take a risk and pay full price, why don't you ask me to jump off of a
Right.
of
Right.
a
So
tree?
So your tip is get the boot when it feels right.
Yes.
Okay.
When you feel comfortable.
Because actually this has happened. I have seen this happen before when people try to dive into a trend too soon and they don't know how to do it or they don't know how to be comfortable into it. Now, I don't necessarily look at those boots as like super trend forward, but
The color alone.
I love them. But to me, I wear them to basketball games sometimes. Just once in a while. Not all the time.
That is going to be a gussied up.
No, I know, but I still like, look, I would wear them to a basketball game like if we were going to dinner afterwards.
Yeah.
Or if we were just coming from happy hour.
Like if we have a show, we do have a show coming up. I don't know on this heel. Is that a danceable heel?
You can dance in this heel.
That might be a.
I think that's a 3.5 inch.
That's going to be more of a dinner
Okay.
and maybe a spin around the dance
Okay.
floor, but that's not going to be a.
We should wear them one day together. Though.
Okay.
They'd be so cute. So the moral of the story is don't push yourself too hard into a trend if you're not ready for it,
Right.
whether it's financially or whether you just don't feel comfortable with it yet. Because even if you would have bought those when I did, you wouldn't have worn them yet.
It wouldn't have felt safe. It wouldn't have felt like me, like accessible. And I think that happens even with our stuff too. Like we did a lot of sequins this winter.
Yes.
Right. And I think the girls are like a sequin mini skirt or not midi. It was like midi with a little slit might feel,
Just wild.
But
and
you
I feel like
do
it's a Tuesday.
Yeah. You do it
Yeah.
with tights and a cute little shabooty kind of a low, easy
Yes.
heel would be pretty with a turtleneck.
So the fashion tip of the day is don't pressure yourself into trends too soon.
Yeah.
Take them when they're right.
Yes.
And that will be your best decision. Yes.
And here's another one.
What?
When it works,
Yeah.
when the outfit works,
It works, baby.
wear it. You wear it.
I wore this last night and I wore this again today.
I hope you never take it
I
off.
love this brown leather blazer. I wear it nonstop.
The leather is so soft, so
I'm
beautiful.
really into repeating outfits now. Like I'd rather find like a perfect outfit and repeat it over and over again
Yes.
than run through. And I kind of evolve in that way. Sometimes I'll run through outfits really quick. Sometimes I'll.
But the same with that boot. You found
That
some
boot.
winter outfits that
Now,
are
I gotta
just.
I gotta give you a warning though.
Oh, what?
You put those boots on and you're gonna be clubbing men left, right, and center.
Listen, welcome to our OnlyFans. Sometimes we have our toes covered.
No, Becky, you you already got the juice, as we acknowledged earlier in this podcast.
Yes, I think we
now
all
you
know.
got on a fun, flirty boot. You got to watch out, girl.
A flirty. That's so funny. One of my old coworkers used to love that when we would do shoe shows, and he would say, "What's a flirty sandal? You're talking about a flirty sandal." It's like, if you have to ask, you don't know.
You know, flirty isn't always like I need attention from somebody else. Flirty is just like a little
Kicky.
yeah, like a little shimmy for your foot.
That's right.
A little extra shimmy. So, girls, don't feel pressured to step into trends that you're not interested in just yet.
Yes.
Wait until it feels right for your budget or for your body. That is our fashion advice of the day. I also want to make mention, you know, what's great about podcasts is you can listen to them at any time. I know a lot of you download podcasts the minute they come out. Some of you wait and listen to them or listen to them later or re-listen to them. I don't know when you'll listen to this podcast, but we have to say, we know how heavy the world is right now, especially with the fires out in California. And I don't know when you'll hear us say this, but oh my God, we were thinking about you. We love you. We are sending love and prayers. And I know sometimes that doesn't mean anything, but I believe in the power of prayer.
Yeah.
So we are sending those to you. We hope everybody's okay. We hope your loved ones are okay. I cannot believe what has and is happening.
It's
it feels like
devastating.
a weird movie.
Well, when you're talking about when we're recording it, it's 12,000 structures right
Yeah.
now. So that's like in some small suburbs, that's the whole town.
No, totally. So we are sending our love and prayers, and we hope everybody is safe.
Yeah.
And, you know, no matter how heavy everything is, and, you know, of course, like we touched on last episode, we definitely have a lot to talk about with work, and that will happen down the road, not now.
Right.
But Becky and I are always here for a good giggle and a good visit.
That's
and
our
so while we
plan.
recognize what's happening in the world, we want to make sure that we always give everybody a good visit.
Well, and that's
maybe a good giggle along
that's what
the
we
way.
talked about. We don't want to be tone deaf and ignore what's happening, but our
Exactly.
place in the world is a little lighter and a little, you know, and
Yes.
definitely donate, you know, like Red
Oh,
Cross.
of course.
Yeah, whatever you can do to help.
I also saw somebody say, even if you're just doing like $5 to 4 different places, like spread your $20 out because it's really going places. So of course, find reputable places, make sure you're, you know, up to speed on who is accepting donations right now.
I don't know about this one, but at Samaritan's Purse is usually an early one.
Oh,
to
it is?
every
Okay.
crisis. They're usually first ones on the ground.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So with that said,
Yes.
today's episode, we have got a lot of comments and requests about wait. Becky likes hip hop. Becky's got the juice at a bar. So a lot of people are like, explain yourself. So today's episode, I will be playing the role of Barbara Walters.
Yes.
You will be my interviewee.
Are you going to make me cry?
Not at all. Well, did Barbara make people cry?
I think Oprah
Maybe afterwards.
and Barbara were like, those were the really hard hitting interviews and people really got.
We'd start to cry.
Maybe you're Howard Stern. You're the modern day
Okay.
version. Yes.
What's it? A shock jock? People always are calling me a shock jock.
My hair is kind of Howard Stern.
Your hair is terrific today.
Yowza.
She was trying to pat it down. Meanwhile, mine is stuck to my head. Darn it.
You guys, clues on a helmet or a earphone head. Help us with hairstyles.
Okay, so let's get into our episode, and it's all about discovering who Becky Wright is, because we've been on air together for 10 years, and you've been our resident comfort queen.
Yes.
Really, you know, a little bit more frugal in the spending, definitely love a quieter outfit. But the more we learn about you, more like there's a lot of layers. Yes, and.
I'm a good example of yes.
You are a great example of yes, and. So
Yes.
let's go back to the beginning.
Oh, a very good place to
year
start.
Was 1970.
70.
1970.
Mm-hmm.
You were born in.
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Okay.
Yes. To my, you know, Mama Jackie, we talk about Jackie all the time. They were married they were probably 22, I think, when they had me.
Your mom and dad.
Yeah.
So they were married when they had you.
They were married when they had me.
Okay, but then it became just you and your mom, right?
Yes. And so Dad decided, it was the 70s, y'all. He was in a band. He was in a rock and roll band. And
Now I see where you get your musicality.
Actually, it was kind of interesting over the years. Like, it is. I mean, we come from musical people for sure. And he decided to jet. He decided to bounce.
You had to get out?
So for every single mama out there raising your babies alone. I know sometimes people that are split, will say single mom, but I'm like, but right, it's 50-50 custody, right?
Right. Like he was completely out.
I'm talking.
Do you remember him leaving?
I don't remember him leaving, and I met him, and this is for real, when I was 10 years old.
For real?
So he had been, I'd seen him around, but like.
Well, where was he having his rock and roll lifestyle? Out in LA or in Minneapolis? Because you were born and raised in Minneapolis.
Yeah, he was still here. They were in a really popular like local band, and his mom was super involved in my life. My mom's parents were super involved. So I had a tribe. I had my uncles, my mom, like we had a great extended family.
And you had his family.
And his family was amazing too. It was really just his mom and his siblings. And they were all great. And he would kind of roll up. Papa was a Rolling Stone though. So I'd see him, but I don't know that I recognized that like that's your dad. But I also
Did you call him dad?
No, I mean, I didn't know who he was. He was around. Like I remember at my first communion, what are you, 7 when you get
Second
communion?
grade, yeah.
Yeah. And there was a guy who was playing basketball at my neighbor's house, was loaded. He had drug and alcohol addiction. And
the guy at the neighbor's house or your dad?
My dad.
Is this the same person?
Yeah. He slammed and hung on their hoop and pulled it off and I was like, I knew it was a bad thing and I knew that everybody was talking about it.
But you didn't know it was your dad?
I just knew it was like.
And nobody said that's your dad?
Not really.
Okay.
It was sort of like he came and I think being there might have been weird because he was high.
Oh, okay.
So it was like, I don't think it was anything anyone wanted to like claim.
Did he stay in touch with your mom?
I think he paid child support. I think he was pretty good about that. But I mean, back in the day, it was like, I owe you $25 a week, or it was some nominal amount.
Sure, you can cash in on this later.
Yeah, but she's crushing it. She's like high school graduate. You talked about no college.
Your mom?
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, I mean, she went to work for the dentist in the same building that my like pediatrician was in.
Yes.
Literally, he came over, and I'm not sure if this is exactly right, but there was some exchange that I had with his receptionist, and they were looking for help, and they like one day said, "What about the nice lady with the black hair?" Like, and they offered her a job.
It's amazing,
right? So like,
did she work there forever then?
Forever, my whole life. She worked for Dr. Bob. He was a dentist, and for my whole life.
And she was mom and dad for you.
Yeah.
Didn't you tell me one time you used to give her Father's Day cards?
Both.
Oh, I love, way to go. Well, clearly something went right.
She's amazing.
Clearly something went right. So then at 10 years old, you meet your dad. And did you just feel like this is just your modern family?
I think it was one of those things where I didn't have a gap in my soul. Like I knew I didn't have one. I knew other people had one, but it was okay.
Like it never bothered you?
It didn't really occur to me. And this was in the era too, people were just starting to get divorced more.
Sure.
So there was other kids who had divorced families. And I think the deal with him is he got sober and he was like, it was like a constant parade celebrating. That's pretty big, right? To go through, like heroin addiction. I mean, it's really hardcore stuff.
Okay.
So I think I was like a good cheerleader for him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's when you were 10 as he got clean?
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
He's still with us.
Really?
Yeah.
You still see him?
Nah, not as much.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think anybody who's had a family like that does family like that, leaving is an option versus families where it's like, you're stuck.
Yeah.
Dude, we're ride or die.
Right.
We're attached at the hip. I think in that kind of dynamic, it's like optional.
Right. Okay. So you and your mom are home alone basically.
Yes. Great. I mean, really growing up together. She's 22.
Yeah, she's only 22 years older than you.
Yeah.
So were you home alone a lot? Like when she was working? Were you raising yourself?
Hello, latchkey generation. You would come home and watch like the John Davidson show. Like these are like all these after school shows. I had a dog though, and we had Officer Morris came over. He was like, did you have the cop that would
the neighborhood cop?
Yeah, that would like talk at school.
We had like 3 cops, like the dare officer.
Yeah,
we had like 3 cops, and they were all basically my cousins.
Yeah, you're all you're related to everybody.
It's a little, what's the cop show? That's also really old.
21 Jump Street.
Andy, no, it was like rural cop.
Oh, Andy Griffith.
Yes.
Yeah,
it was more like that. Yeah. So our cops are a little bit different than maybe what I'm imagining a Minneapolis
inner
cop
city.
Is. Yes.
Well, and this is the other thing. That's the locale is the hood.
Because you were inner city Minneapolis.
Yeah. So where we live, North Minneapolis is, and it's changed. Like in the 70s and 80s, it was super blue collar, lower middle class for sure, though.
But I mean, North Minneapolis was international news in 2020.
Right.
That's where you grew up.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's your neighborhood.
Yep.
And people think because we're in the Midwest, if you haven't been to Minneapolis, so like my family in rural Wisconsin thinks it's the biggest city in the world.
Yeah.
But most people don't think of Minneapolis as such a metropolitan area, but it is very metropolitan.
Yeah, it's really, and it's especially now. I mean, it is so different. But like when I was a kid, it was, it was rough for sure. We got robbed, and
You and your mom did?
yeah, I mean, it was.
Did you catch them or did you hide from them? I feel like you would walk down there and be like, hey, what's up?
Honestly,
What are you doing?
with two ladies though? I mean, I think about it now, and it is, without like, there's probably a baseball bat laying around in like a golf club.
Yeah.
That was the security plan.
Right.
So, I remember one time I had this was in college, college. And I had a little white, do you remember these little VW convertibles, the cabriolets?
Yes.
And I saved and saved and saved. It was my favorite thing. And I was on the phone.
Wait, you bought yourself a white convertible VW
And
with your modeling money?
That was like my third car.
What?
Yeah.
How old?
Probably like 1920 in there. Listen, scrappy. You got to be scrappy.
Okay, so after high school.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had modeling money.
I had modeling money then,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
And somebody was walking down the street. And this is what happens in a lot of times in neighborhoods like this. It's just like opportunistic. If there's something to swipe, you're going to swipe it.
Mhm.
So this guy walks over to the car and like from cheering, and you know this, like you know how you can lower your voice?
Yeah.
So I go, like pretending there was a man there.
I feel like you should have done an ooga. Did he go running?
It was enough to scare him.
Yes.
So I mean, like I know I shouldn't make it sound like it was so scary, but it was like two little ladies on their own,
A single mom, basically an independent gal.
Yes.
In inner city,
right.
Growing up together.
And here's the thing too, like when we should actually have Q come in on one of these days.
Yeah.
Like I went to Catholic school the whole time, and I
so you had Catholic private school that you went to
K-12.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So like not that the schools weren't okay, but they weren't really okay. Do you know what I'm saying? Like anybody who lives in a neighborhood like that, it was a real gift that my mom decided like that's where she's going to put her pennies was into private school.
And look at how it turned out.
Just saying the F word left and right.
What were your girlfriends like growing up? Were there a lot of girls in your neighborhood?
Yeah. And that was, I mean, people talk about this a lot. And I think you had this too, where it was like, my mom was at work. You'd get on your bike in the middle of the summer. We'd go to Weber Park. We'd swim. We'd be gone all day. We'd come back for dinner. It was A-okay, like super safe.
Are you still friends with your friends from that time?
The one that I ran into the other day that we talked about at the Little River Band, I really do have to reach out because she and I have not stayed as close, but she's probably the one that I would.
Yeah, but she watched you get kicked out of that concert, so who knows if she still wants to.
I don't know why that phone number's not working. I thought she gave me.
Got blocked out of nowhere, and I'm not sure why. Who was your first boyfriend and when?
Oh gosh, I think he was everybody's first boyfriend. Ross
Whoa,
Kiva was so cute.
Get in line.
He had feathered hair, and everybody had these like goody combs that they put in the back pocket of their.
Ross knew what he was doing.
Levi's or
How
their
old were
Lees.
you?
I think my first kiss was 4th grade. Does that sound?
On the lips or on the cheek?
I think that one. It was like a truth or dare thing. Like
got it. Yeah, you're in a circle.
Yeah.
These city girls get down.
That's right.
Wow.
The Catholic.
So you weren't necessarily going on dates with Ross.
No.
He was like your first big crush and kiss.
That's like little kid, and then first probably boyfriend was 9th grade when I got to De La Salle.
And that's when you started high school.
That was
And De La Salle is a private school in downtown Minneapolis, still in downtown Minneapolis. It's highly regarded.
It's a cool setting too, because it's called the Island, and it literally is right outside of downtown. So there's tons of opportunities for kids to, intern with corporations downtown, and it's really a melting pot. So you'd have, every kind of nationality and race and color and creed, and you didn't have to be Catholic, by the way. It was just like a private school.
How many Beckys with the good hair were there?
Oh, I had the best hair. There's no two ways about that.
Obviously. Okay, so growing up Minneapolis,
yes,
single mom.
Yeah.
Now, what were you involved in besides high school? Did you immediately get an agent and just start modeling, or were you in
as a child?
No, just living my dreams for me.
No, but you know what? I did have an agent as a little kid, so that was part of.
It's like your mom knew you had it. She knew you had it,
or she needed a couple extra bucks.
where she needed Becky to work too, and it was the only legal way to do it.
Child labor was frowned upon.
So she got you into modeling and acting.
And I think she had modeled in high school too. So it was
So beautiful.
None of it was unfamiliar. So
Okay.
like there was an agency now it's called More Creative, but then it was Eleanor Moore and Andrea Jaum was in charge of it. And then Susan Wayman worked for Andrea. Susan Wayman broke off, I think in the middle 80s. I should ask.
And you went with her.
Mm-hmm.
So that was been your agent since you were like 10?
Forever. I actually, a friend of my mom's said, I want to bring you down to meet my agent. And here's what I realized he was doing. He was an actor that hadn't had work for a while.
Oh, and he
was
wanted a
trying-
little kid. Because you can get hired if you've got a kid with you.
Yeah. He was trying to bring me along for.
When I was auditioning just minimally, when James was little,
Yeah.
that didn't work out because people are like, clearly that's not your child.
You brought your manager. You brought your accountant.
I'm like, no, this is my baby, but he was always like this big, and I'm smaller in stature, so no, that doesn't work.
No, but if you look exactly
Our faces
the
look
same.
identical,
Yeah.
but the size didn't make sense. The size didn't make sense. So you started modeling right away, but were you involved in other things?
Oh, so as a little kid, I feel like every little girl has this. So we did K. Marie and Carol's was the dance studio in my neighborhood. So we did ballet, tap jazz, like every little kid.
Yeah.
And then somewhere along the line, I decided I was more athletic.
Ooh.
So then I moved over.
I hear your fighting words because us dancers, I guess, aren't athletes.
No.
I got it.
I told you the day that girl in front of me in the row in front of me in that recital was not there.
She wasn't there and you didn't know what you were doing.
It was too much panic.
Okay, so you got out. Then what did you join?
Then it was, in those days, it was basketball in the winter, softball in the spring, volleyball in the fall. Yeah.
Really?
So that's all the way through like 8th grade.
Okay. Okay, so that was through 8th grade.
Yeah.
Were you a good student?
Yeah, school came too easily. This is, if you have a kid where school comes easily, 11th grade's coming for you.
You just got bored and decided you were a grown adult?
No, it was like, oh shit, you have to study.
Oh, now it got hard for you.
The math was really mathin'.
Okay.
It was like I had coasted the whole time. And then
11th grade hit. And then did you hunker down and study more, or were you just like, deuces, my attitude will take me?
I would love to tell you that I learned study skills in the 11th grade.
I'm here to tell you, kids, in case any of you kids are listening, attitude gets you really far. Attitude and work ethic get you really far. You should study.
Please study. Learn those study skills. You should study
and you should learn, especially if my children are listening to this, which they aren't. It might be 5-6 years down the road before they listen to one of our episodes. But
if you don't, I want you to turn up that charm. I want you to turn that charm up.
Get that jazz and all that jazz. Get the shimmy shake going.
Can I do extra credit?
Attitude.
I want you to work
ethic.
that.
Yes. Ask those teachers if they need the garbage bins dumped. Stay after and wipe down the chalkboard. I don't know if chalkboards still happen anymore.
Clap some erasers.
Yeah. Join the show choir. Become the football manager. Join the forensics team. Get yourself involved.
Get yourself active.
Okay. So were you still a good student then?
Yes.
In junior year?
I've always been really smart and it came easily. And the problem is I like to do the things I like to do. And then, whatever level of it wasn't even hard math at that point. I'm terrible at math. Really kicked my butt and continued to kick my butt. Even going into college, that was always like my Achilles.
Okay.
They got me into logic, which is math with words, so that maybe you can try to get this credit a different way.
Okay. Yeah. I just sort of zoned out about 2 minutes ago because you started talking about so many academic things.
Well,
oh my God, logic. Whoa. Did you ever get in trouble in high school?
A lot.
You did?
Uh-huh.
Even as a SAR student?
I was pretty naughty.
Like, what do you mean naughty? Like like naughty can come in different forms. You could be sassy to your teachers, or like naughty, like snuck out like at lunch.
Yeah.
To make out with a boy under the bridge.
Yes
and yes.
So when I first got in trouble was probably 8th grade, and it was for being like a little lippy in class.
Okay, so you knew better.
And Sister Eustacia took my head, and I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's still with us. God bless you.
God bless you. I mean, she's in heaven. She was a sister.
She got so mad at me that she took, they used to be able to have corporal punishment. They could.
Yes, they would slap you with rulers.
Yes, they really could. And she took my head or pushed me, and she hit my back of my head against a point.
Right.
In the door. And I went back, and believe it, I sold that there was blood on my hand, and
Yeah.
it was like Carrie at the end of that. I was, carrying on.
Who won? Did she get in trouble or did you get in trouble?
I think she got in trouble
Really?
on that one. Yeah.
Because my mom tells stories of the Catholic school nuns back in her day, like literally putting duct tape over people's mouths and putting them in the closet.
They would wash our face with Comet. If you wore makeup, you weren't supposed to. They'd bring the Comet into the
Wash your face.
with think of how rough that is.
My God.
No, it was no
You
joke.
still have great skin though. Maybe they exfoliated because you still have no pores. So you might want to thank the sisters for that one.
These beauty tips are free.
Yeah.
Also.
Wow. Looking good.
Oh.
Okay. Did you ever get in trouble with your mom or was she?
My mom. I mean, she really did. So my dad came back when I was 10. I think that might have not been a
Like
great
when you
thing.
say came back, did he move into the house with you?
No.
Or just came back into your life?
Came back into my life.
Okay. So now, yeah,
So
it's
now-
it's manifesting in funny ways.
Right. It's coming out
Right,
sideways.
you're like, what's up? I don't need a dad. Look at me.
completely.
I'm Becky Wright.
Right. Don't you have any idea who you're dealing with?
Yeah, come on.
But at least she had backup now. So as we're getting into these sassy years, now she can at least make a phone call to someone else.
to your dad and be
Yeah.
like, I need reinforcements.
Like they, at one point, what did they use? The word they used was incorrigible. Incorrigible.
oh, I think they use that for how do you solve a problem like Maria?
Yeah.
How do you catch a cloud and pin it down?
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you, Von Traps. Hire me.
I'm going to look up incorrigible because I don't even really remember.
So where was your modeling career?
school.
Asking for
So
a
after
desperate little farm girl. How did you get to be a model so young?
it really was, I went in senior year of high school.
So you didn't start kind of doing your own modeling then till so like freshman, sophomore, junior year of high school.
What does that say?
Incorrigible. Oh, weird. Let my younger eyes read it for
I
you.
have my spectacles.
Incorrigible. Not able to be corrected, improved, or reformed.
Oh, dear.
Incorrigible.
Could you give me the country of origin?
I can see that
Could
in
you
you. I
use
can
it in
see
a
that in a
sentence?
young Becky, right?
Yeah, pretty.
Incorrigible.
Yeah, I was.
I can
incorrigible.
see that. Okay, so then you graduate from De La Salle. You go to college or you go to Japan?
No, first step was, what was I doing then? Oh, let's see. It wasn't school right away.
You didn't go to college.
I didn't have a plan.
Was that an argument with your mom or was she okay with it?
No, because that was the problem. It's similar. If they didn't all go, it was kind of like,
Yeah.
you're 18. God bless you.
Same.
Good luck to you.
Same. My parents said I was going to go like get a career.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think then I was working for Harvey Hansen Realtors, which is now where Edina Family Physicians is.
You were a real estate agent?
No, I was their receptionist.
Oh,
So I was working.
you would be an excellent receptionist.
Oh,
I feel like people would just come in to visit with you. Now, slow as crap.
there's a
Slow
lot.
as molasses.
But this is the good news of that. There was
What?
no technology. It was all analog. Just
Oh,
beep,
yeah.
boop, beep, boop phone.
Yeah,
and-
even slower then because you're just remember the
The
line she made
visiting.
us wait in for at the concerts? I feel like somebody would come in looking just to meet with a real estate agent and 3 hours later you guys would be talking about, your birth orders.
Absolutely.
And, yes, where
Star
your dad
signs.
really had been all that time.
Totally. It was a great place to work, but I realized at a certain point, like, ooh, okay.
Okay, so then you got a fire under your buns.
Then
and
I
what'd
went
you
to
do?
school. Yeah. Then I went to
then
school.
you went to college.
But I was also, somewhere in there was the first women meeting.
And you were getting booked a lot. You were booked and busy, as the
Booked and
kids say.
But here's the problem. You try to hold down, it's not quite enough money to sustain you.
Nope.
So you still have to have a day job. So in that kind of world, serving,
Yeah.
still had the reception job. Like 9 jobs has always been part of my deal.
Yes, you've always been like a hand everywhere.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so you were modeling when you went to school.
Yeah.
Okay. When did Father Phil enter?
Oh, Father Phil is on the scene in.
Father Phil is her husband, not her priest.
Yes.
For any new listeners, that has also been confusing.
Oh, now it's really confusing with all the Catholicism.
Yeah, her husband's name is Phil, and she calls him Father Phil. And people will say, is that your priest? Because that's sick. It's not. It's her husband. And I always like to just clarify that for everybody because it seems like sometimes people get confused.
Yes, as well they could. I
Okay.
get it.
Wait, before we get to Father Phil, do you feel like your upbringing is where you really got into the hip hop?
Oh, that part.
Because people want to know. Because
My
you will
musical
say
taste.
you will sing an entire Barry Manilow
Yeah.
record for us.
Yes.
And then drop some hot and dirty hip hop.
Then we're
behind
into
it.
hip hop, right?
So where did you get your eclectic and very broad love of music?
This is a great question. So Jackie has
Your
the
mom?
best taste in music.
She does?
So she raised me on Stevie Wonder and Earth, Wind, and Fire and
yes.
Aretha and
Yes.
Average White Band. And so all of that, like funk, really good funk, is that's
Okay.
home base. And
Got it.
then, the year is, we've got now, what, early or late, is it 82 that we've got broken glass everywhere? People walking down the streets, they
Yeah.
just don't care. Yeah. So now we're in like early hip hop, and that was everything. That's what framed all my music.
Yes.
That's what
Run
popular.
DMC, was that right around the corner?
Totally. Yeah.
Okay, so you loved that too.
And I
Okay.
remember listening to Walk This Way with one of my friends.
This way.
And she was like, I love Aerosmith. And I was like, I love Run DMC.
Yes.
So it was really a litmus test.
Okay, so then and your dad too, the background of your dad.
Yeah. I mean, he was a musician. My mom's dad was a classical tenor. So he had a beautiful singing voice. So yeah, I mean, music has always been a huge part of everything.
Okay, so now you meet Phil.
Father Phil.
Now, I have it on good record that the two of you met on a modeling job.
We did.
Again, not the way my husband and I met.
And I have a picture of the day
I
we
know
met.
you've shown it to me.
It's
so
cool.
you met on a modeling shoot.
Yeah. So he was home from University of Arizona. That's his
Okay.
freshman year.
Party time, Phil.
He's trying to get some money.
Wait, his freshman year, is he younger than you?
Wait, how is this working? What are we in? The year is 1990. So I am 20, 19.
If you're 19, you're 20
I'm
or
not 20
21.
yet. I'm 19.
Okay, 19.
So he thought he would take a crack at modeling too. And yeah, we were on
And
a
he's
job.
very handsome.
Well, he's darling.
So you showed up to the shoot, and did you lock eyes with him and imprint like Jacob does on what's her name?
It's funny because we tell this story and I'll be like, I remember exactly what he had on. Hugo Boss sweatshirt, Gerbeau jeans, some Minnetonka moccasins. His hair was like floppy. I don't know if he had a visor on, but he used to wear like a visor backward.
I mean,
Like a volleyball player.
yes.
So cute.
Wow.
In his black Jeep with the doors off and the top off. Let's just talk
Yeah.
about tops off.
Yeah.
Sold. And he'll tell the story. And I had super, super short hair at the time. Like a
Yeah, you
pixie.
did. But it was like Demi Moore
Yeah.
in Ghost.
That was a very popular at the time.
Yes. I mean, you look just like her, even prettier.
God bless you.
And she's a beaut.
But he'll tell the story of like, I don't know, there was a lot going on. I was a little bit confused. Like I'm telling him every single ounce of clothing he had on.
Is he pretending he doesn't remember the first time he laid eyes on you?
I think when we really connected is, and I get this feeling too, when you're freaked out and you're in a situation you've never been before.
Because was this his first modeling job?
First he had like
Look at him.
a little suit on it.
Books a job and a wifey.
Yeah, literally on day one. And then what a terrible thing to tell my kids.
What? You met
It's
on a
that
modeling
easy.
job?
What? Like it's hard? You show up at a modeling job and you
You
find your
guys are
wife.
beautiful and paid for your looks. You didn't just show up one day and fall in love with another model? What?
30 years later.
You had to kiss a toad? Not me. Not me. My Prince Charming was waiting for me. Oh, Becky. What a tough
in
life.
a black Jeep Cherokee.
So who
or
made the first
Wrangler.
move? Were you like, hey, baby,
I think, and
I need a ride home?
You will know what I mean by this.
Okay, go.
He was uncomfortable.
Okay.
And I'm like, this person needs help. Da, 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 da.
You put your clown shoes
Hi.
on.
What can I
Yes.
do to make you feel better?
Becky and I always do that when we feel like somebody else is uncomfortable or doesn't fit in. Instead of just playing it cool, it's full clown. It's a twisting bow tie. It's the clown shoes.
Yes.
It's the song and dance.
And
Are you okay? Do you feel good? Can I get you a cup of coffee? Where are you from? Do you want to be my best friend? Okay, let's sit together. You want to hold my hand? Like the whole time. So you did that to Phil.
Totally.
So he was either like, oh my gosh, this woman is so kind, or she is a psycho.
Real lot. Just
yeah,
a real.
she's either a total psychopath or a real kind lady. And I think he went with kind lady.
He went with kind lady, and
Or pretty young thing.
I think it was and it was like he was home from school.
So did you exchange phone numbers, or did you find each other's phone numbers like on the call list?
That's how you would have to do it though back in the day.
Yeah,
It was
because
an
in the olden days you would get a real call list,
Yeah.
and it would have everybody's information.
And I think we were
Is that
gonna
what it's called? Call list?
Call sheet, yeah.
Or call sheet, yes.
we were gonna go to it used to be called Spring Fling at the U.
Yes.
You're right. I don't know what they call it
Yes,
anymore.
Spring Jam.
Spring Jam.
Okay.
So we were going to do that. Like we made plans and we ended up, our first official date was we saw Bird on a Wire with Mel Gibson and Goldie Hawn.
Okay.
We went to Perkins, had a little pancake.
Okay.
We
The
weren't
birthday
legal
pancakes?
at the, and then and that was it. And from then on, it was
Did you ever break up after that?
you
did.
there was breakups and moves. He went back to school. I went to Japan. Like there was a lot of
Okay, so you knew him when you were international.
yeah.
And he was down in Arizona.
He would send me faxes. That's how we communicated.
Facsimiles?
A facsimile. Yeah.
A facsimile.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
Like of his butt or like a handwritten
Pictures,
letter?
Handwritten.
Oh my
Was
gosh.
like the only way because it would have been, I mean, it was snail mail. It was a different time.
Would
guys.
you go down to like the hotel lobby and get a facsimile?
How did I do that? I think it was at the agency. I think he would send things to the agency. And like, yeah, it was such a weird time though, because now I think I would embrace Tokyo.
Yeah.
But then
You were
I'm
so
sort of-
heartbroken for Phil.
Yeah, I was like homesick and nobody speaks English.
So you were over there just pining for
Kinda.
your honey.
Yeah.
But then you made it through.
Made it through. It was a good, really good experience. It really helped. It gave me a ton of juice.
So what exactly did you do in Tokyo?
So the way it would work is you would live in a model apartment where everybody is, there's probably 7 different girls, all these
So unrelatable.
relatable queen. We had
See what I'm saying? She presents like this relatable comfort queen. I was moved to a model apartment in Tokyo. Well, my beautiful model boyfriend
pined away for me.
sent fax. I'm imagining it says just bare butt on the fax machine like we used to see in the movies.
That would have been a good one on the
Okay.
copy machine.
But anyway, so do you remember the model show? I think it was Rags to Riches or something with Leah Remini.
Yes.
Is that kind of what it was like?
It was. I mean, that was, I think, in New
insane.
York. And
Okay.
it was, I mean, the girls were from Finland. There was 2 from Canada.
Were they
2 of
nice?
us. So nice.
Amazing.
We stayed close, actually, pen pal kind of close for years.
How did it end up being you? Do you audition for this or did they pick you through your agent?
Yeah. And they had an open call at the agency and then picked, everybody falls into a category. So
Yes.
I had at that point, that teeny tiny little hair. So that was pretty marketable.
Yes.
So there was, like the girl I went with had the foxy, long, like sexy hair.
But you had the confident short demi.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I would get booked for things like that. Like we did an Infinity commercial. Like we didn't even have Infinity cars here then.
Mm-hmm.
That hair stuff,
So would you still audition in Tokyo?
both. So you would get in the van and you would go on casting calls with your agency, show them your book, walk, do all that stuff.
My God.
Some days girls
Did you
would
give him a little razzle dazzle too?
I remember I wore ripped jeans. I wore old ripped Levi's and a white t-shirt, which at the time, it's cool now too, but it was really cool then.
Yeah.
And I remember the
Brat Pack?
agency. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were like, you need to present yourself like a professional model. And I was like, what does that mean to you? Because this is what we would wear at home.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I like Kate Moss.
But they
She was
wanted,
always
like-
in a ripped up denim.
Right. Actually, I'll show
And I
you a
compare
picture.
you to Kate Moss, honey. That's the same level.
That's high praise.
the 2 shortest supermodels in the world.
There was a model, Barry Smither, I think was around in that era. I think she was there at that time. That's about as big
In
as anybody
Tokyo?
that I worked with.
So then were you like, okay, I'm going international. Like, I'm going to be a model the rest of my life? Or you're like, okay, this was fun. I got to come home and get with Phil.
yeah.
Hook up with Phil.
Yeah, it never felt like I wanted like fame and fortune and no. I mean, and we've talked about this before. I was making like a really good living here.
Yeah.
Just doing regular goofy commercials and print work.
Well, if you didn't know this, Minneapolis has a ton of Fortune 100 companies. And so there actually is quite a bit of work here for people in our industry.
Yeah.
It's just not primetime television and theatrical movies, but we have great theater. We have tons of retail that always needs like training videos or HR videos.
Right.
Or, I mean, you were probably shooting like the Target ads, which
Target, we had Dayton's in those days.
I hired those people, but I was never in it.
Now look at her. Now look at her.
So you move home, Father Phil comes home, the 2 of you are like, we can't live with each other. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, that was it. And then we got married in 95. Babies come along in 97 and 90. Baby Jack,
Mm-hmm.
baby Ben.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's 30 years now that we've been married this year.
Oh, yeah, that's
'Cause
right.
you're 20 now.
We're
Yeah.
20, you're
Yeah, yeah.
30. So what are you guys going to do for it?
That's what we've been talking about. We redid my ring, of course, because we have to save the men of the Twin Cities.
Of course. I can't step in any more than I already have. It's a lot of work on me. I can't be clubbing men off of you.
Had to get that ring
When
redone.
the hand slowly keeps going up the leg. And I don't know I haven't seen a man hit on a woman in 20 years. I'm like,
What did you say?
I go, she's married. I just
Blurt it out.
no offense to anybody who may experience Tourette's, but it was like that. I was just like, she's married. Like there was no intro, there was no exit. It was just it's do or die, Aaron. Say something.
That's it.
Say something.
Intervene.
Or I'm giving up on you, as they say. So looking back on your life.
Yes.
Did you ever in 10 million years think you would end up in home shopping?
Well, you know this story. I don't know. Actually, maybe you don't know this story.
I might not know this.
So we moved. Father Phil and I were over by the U. We had a college house.
That's like center of Minneapolis.
Yeah.
The University of Minnesota is a city school, so it's in the middle of our city.
Yeah, and we were just a couple blocks away, and we'd redone this house. Kind of lost track of time. Jack's 5 at this point, and we're like, oh, you have to go to school. Like waking up. Realized we had to look at schools. The neighborhood school was, we walked in and it had shag carpeting all along the wall, like a wainscot.
Wow.
This is this would have been
2000, 2001?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I walked in and I talked to the principal and I said, so like, what's the parent involvement like? And she goes, I don't know. I have a couple families I can call if we need anything.
Okay.
And I said, okie dokie, we got to go.
And if you're okay with that, by all means.
No, but
you need
an active.
You need an active community.
Vibrant.
Yes. Yeah. So you moved to our little village now that we live in.
Yes. So we moved to our village and bought, they always say buy the worst house on the best block.
Yeah.
Well, we sure did.
Okay. And now, I've been there. Did you remodel it a lot? Okay. Because it's beautiful now.
A ton of work.
Okay.
Wait, I'm trying to get back to where you just said. What did you just say? What was I trying to get
You want a
back to?
community? Oh,
Yeah.
my question?
Yeah.
Did you ever think that you would be in home shopping? Like looking back and you said, you know this story.
Yes.
So you moved to our little village that we live in.
And we were stretching it. Like we made a good profit on the old house, but we were really stretching it with all the work that needed to happen. So I started to look for other work. So I was always doing modeling, but it was, it's kind of inconsistent.
Yeah.
So I was looking for work.
Typically it's one payout.
Yeah.
There's very little in Minneapolis where you would get like a residual or a royalty.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Very little here.
So I remember looking at Shop HQ and I was like, look at this former weather woman. What? Thinking that this was like, and now I am ostensibly in this industry.
Yes.
But I was like, oh, I think I know her. She's a beauty pageant. Like I'm going through the host going, wowzers, and looking at the job listings. And one of them really piqued my interest. And it was like visual merchandiser. And you get to display the product. You're responsible for all and of the jobs.
Yeah.
Host, I was like, whoa. Wow.
So you were applying for crew, and our crew is phenomenal.
I don't think
your skill set isn't crew, baby. Your skill set is
But
in front of camera.
It didn't even occur to me
that
I could do that thing that they were doing. I was interested in display.
So did you apply for it?
I don't think I ever applied for it, but I remember actively going, oh yeah, at that place, that's the job I want to do.
But then how did you end up being a fashion guest with me?
It was
12, 13 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me.
I remember agency called, said and you don't know the difference where you're going. They're just like, come.
Yeah, when your agency says I have an audition, they just tell you the location and kind of like what to wear.
Yeah, what to wear. And like, you're going to talk about a watch. You're going to talk about a dress. And so I show up and you know this story with Kimberly Wells.
Yeah, she was the best auditioner, but also the most intimidating. Because she's so good.
But I don't even know what I'm there for.
No, exactly.
So I kind of clicked over to the channel and looked. I was like, oh, okay, that's what they're doing. So I walk in and I'd prepped the item I was going to sell. And I started like 90 miles a minute. And it's live. I mean, you guys know it's a live presentation. And I kind of bobbled. And she goes, hang on a second. I'm going to stop you right there. And she like held onto my hand and she goes, you're better than this.
Yes.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
We're going to go again.
Yeah.
And she goes, and you won't get another chance like this.
Right.
And I took it as two ways. Like it's live TV. So there is no, cut.
Right.
Like if you
your audition wasn't on live TV, but they treat it like you're on live.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I took it both ways. Like you don't get another chance in live TV and you won't get another chance like this.
No.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I was like,
yes.
I understood the assignment
yes.
in that moment.
Yeah.
And
you nailed it?
Nailed it.
Nice.
And she was my biggest champion too.
She was because I was guesting and I couldn't handle all the guest hours because there was just too many. And so we had been looking for at least 6 months, maybe even a year for this Becky, this other role. And a lot of people had come through, a lot of people had tried. And like, not to say like, oh my gosh, we're so much better than anybody, by no means, but it's not only a skill set to be on air, but you also have to be willing to work weird hours.
That's
you also have
huge.
to really thick skin. As nice as you all are, there are some really mean people out there. And 13 years ago, because I think it was 13 years ago now that I started, probably 12 years ago that you started, the industry was completely different. I mean, people were moving from around the world to be a host.
Yes.
And when I started, Connie Kunkel had just got off Broadway. Sarah Anderson had been a Rockette. We had, Heather Hall and Jennifer Klein, former really well celebrated beauty queens.
Yes, Wendy
Daniel
Russo.
Green, Wendy Russo. I mean, Kimberly Wells was like an icon.
Oh.
I mean, Laura Duffick, Kendi Klepfer, invented home shopping.
Well, you guys know that Kendi Klepfer was one of the original in this whole industry.
Yeah, she was at a network no longer that was in Chicago, and we'll tell you that story if we haven't already told you that before. But so you walk in and it's intimidating. And there's these people there who have been presenting or performing on stages that most of us can only dream of.
Yes.
So it is nerve-wracking when you audition.
I'm glad I didn't know. I mean, I'm glad I didn't really get what it was.
Yeah. And Kimberly was on Broadway.
Yeah.
She was. So anyway, it is like ignorance is bliss.
Yes.
Don't you feel like it was nice kind of not knowing?
It was kismet.
But I remember imprinting on you because I had been through the ringer a little bit. Like, I loved being a fashion guest.
Will you describe life there before me?
Well, yeah. What had happened, if you've been watching us for a long time, you'll know these names. And if not, don't worry about it. So before I got there as a fashion expert, there was two fabulous girls who are fashion experts, Allie Carr, who is now on a different network, and Sarah Rogers, who is, both equally are phenomenal in completely different ways. Sarah Rogers had decided she kind of wanted to take a step away. She had been in the industry for a long time. She had other things she wanted to do. Allie was interested in hosting, and they were talking about transitioning into hosting. Well, it so happened that they were moving me into the guest role when those two were moving on. And the fashion at that time, we were starting a lot of proprietary or exclusive fashion brands. It was the start of Kate and Mallory.
Yes.
It was kind of the reinvention of Oh So Casual. Gramercy 22. Indigo was on its way. And so I was guesting
everything,
all of them, and I loved it. And at that time, we were also live overnights.
Oh, gosh.
But it would get to the place where I'd be like physically ill because I was working so much. And at the time, James was still in diapers.
Oh, Aaron.
So, when I was grateful because I got into it the same way you, just an audition. My agent sent me. I really didn't know what I was doing. I got the job, and then it kept rolling.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to say no because in this industry, it is feast or famine.
Oh,
and we can talk about that too. Like you can say no, but you say no and you might just be left where you said no.
Yeah.
So it's a fine balance of figuring out that feast or famine. And I liked it and I didn't want to give it up, but I was like, I'm going to collapse.
With a baby.
And so they were trying to find the right opposite of me because you don't need two of the same people.
Yeah.
And so, I really like to push the envelope in fashion. I really like the show up and show out pieces. So they were really looking for somebody who appreciated fashion, but from a different perspective.
Right.
And then could also be just as absolutely nuts and crazy as me. And, wake up in the middle of the night, glue eyelash on, go on air, show up at 4 a.m. for a 5 a.m. shift, come back and do it that night at 5 p.m.
Completely.
And then what makes a great television channel is personality.
Yeah.
But what's hard about a television channel is a lot of personality.
And everybody in the building is that same.
Has personality.
Yeah. And what's so cool about it too is I think the Oso persona, so the brand that I got.
So Becky came on for like the comfort and the easy fashion.
Right.
Yes.
Classic, easy.
Not an easy job, but like fashion that's just for every day, easy, exactly how she's dressed.
Exactly what I wear. And so what I think started to happen is you start to develop, it's still me, but you kind of develop a persona.
That is part of who you are. That's totally who you are.
Yeah.
And it's, it's the opposite of what I am.
Yes.
On television.
Right.
Behind the scenes, we're a little bit of everything, like we've talked about in the Yes and episode.
Right.
But it was a perfect match. And I remember the audition process back in the day was cutthroat.
Brutal.
It was brutal. And so I remember I just knew I'm very intuitive, and I knew I'm like, that's the girl. But it like all the merchant team and the executives had to think about it and watch your tape back. And then she got to do a few hour-long actual live shows that people would go back and scrutinize.
Oh,
And I
that's right.
remember being, I didn't have a say in anything at that time.
Yeah.
And I remember anybody who would listen to me, I'm like, she's the right person.
I
I mean, not that anybody was saying you weren't.
It's so good.
She got the job on her own. And nobody was saying she wasn't, but I remember being like, if it's not her, we're toast.
You just felt it in your soul.
Yeah, and then the rest was history.
Well, and then we really did. I mean, it was all those hours she described, late at night, crossing paths, bleary-eyed. You know, it was getting ready together.
Yeah.
And it was such a neat thing because what happened was we grew it. And so out of this little dressing room of Erin and me and the fake eyelashes, and then there's like new people auditioning for other brands, and now all of a sudden 2 turns into who was next? Was it Jess or was it Maya?
Maya came to join us.
Yeah, Maya's next.
Which was
for
awesome.
Indigo Thread
she was
Company.
wonderful. I had actually started Indigo. I was the first guest on Indigo.
Yes.
And right as I was moving into host, she came in. And then, Sarah Skillroot and then Jess Manuel came in, but then eventually replaced me.
Yeah.
We were like the house moms.
Oh, it's
kind of
so
like the house
fun.
moms and taking you in, and you try to help each other out.
Yeah.
But it's still business.
Right.
So there is like you become friends for sure, but we're still in business together. So we still have to have difficult conversations.
Right.
We still have to have, like what's best for the business, not just our friendship.
Well,
so
yeah.
I think we navigated it really well together.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just pat ourselves on the back because it has been a wild ride and things are so much the same, yet so wildly different than they were. I remember watching you walk in the first time and I'm like, that's her. I need her here. We need to do this together.
Help is on the way.
Oh, and it was so good. And we've had too much fun together.
It's the best. And what's interesting about the show, so the Saturday morning show that we do now started with Sarah Anderson.
Yeah, which by the way, I just spoke to her the other day.
How is she
says
doing?
hi to everybody.
Hello.
She's fabulous as always.
And
I
so
hope you watch her as well.
Erin is guest number 1. I'm guest number 2. And
In that order, don't forget it.
So, that's right. But even that show is a great example of how everything has changed.
Oh my
evolved
gosh,
over the
yes.
years.
It's changed. And if I could give any advice, and nobody asks for it, but here I am. If you can find yourself a good friend, a good coworker, always have the tough conversations.
Yeah.
Because you get to have more fun together.
Yes.
If you don't have the tough conversations, a little tale from Teddy coming up here.
Hi, Teddy.
Hey,
Hey, Tedward.
This is another one of our great coworkers. Teddy, my dog, if you're watching on YouTube, is always in the room with us.
You're so sweet.
If you're not close enough to have the tough conversation, if you're not close enough to say like, hey, this is what we need for business, no matter what we are for friends, I don't think you're going to make the best out of it. You might be able to fake it. Oh, thank you, Teddy. You might be able to fake it.
Hi.
We love you. You're beautiful, blonde princess. You might be able to fake it. It might kind of feel good, but it will never be as good as it could be.
Not
Wouldn't
truly
you agree?
authentic.
Because as much fun as we have together and as much trouble as we get in together, I don't think either one of us are ever afraid to say what we really need or ever afraid to have tough conversations around business, around scheduling, around anything.
It's because, and here's what's interesting about that show and why I think it's different from other shows. We do a lot of other shows too. Why that one I think feels special is it's super authentic. It's super real, which includes our actual real friendship. You know what I mean? And I think that's the difference. It's like, I have such a high regard for you. Always said in love and respect. So it's like, I think what people have gravitated toward on Saturday morning is a little bit of that. That is chemistry. That is magic. And we do shows all the time that don't feel the same.
And of course, my singing voice.
Of course. And the moves. Yes.
And your show tunes. No, yeah, you can't make up authenticity, but I also think we've never forced it.
Mm-hmm.
We've always let it ride.
Yeah.
I have had no problem saying to you, I'm annoyed today.
Yeah.
I need your help.
Don't
You've
you
had
dare
no
come out there
problem-
late.
yeah.
Do not come out there.
She doesn't listen. I mean, I have no problem saying
Have
out loud.
Have
even though
you
she doesn't
not
listen.
noticed I've been out there a little bit earlier?
Like 5 seconds, and it's better than her social media plan she has right now. So,
You guys, it was a different time.
oh, well, anyway, I'm happy to know more about you now.
And now we'll do a deep dive on Erin next.
I don't know
week.
what there's left to know. I mean, I told him literally. I don't know if there's anything left to know.
Open book.
Wow. Yeah, we'll do more deep dives, but it's nice to know more about your background, my lady.
So yes, so that's why I am the way I am.
That's why she's such a superstar. So if we've learned anything from learning about Becky, it's that you can be more than just a comfort queen.
Yes.
Like we talked about.
I'm more yes-anding all over the place.
Yeah. And if your dad doesn't show up for a while, you just get your own sassy pants on and let everybody know you don't need them there.
I do wonder about that though. Like how many of our girls had like just rock solid, like you had rock solid parents, right? Like you had a good, stable.
I definitely had rock solid parents, but they were 20 when I was born.
Maybe that's the through line.
And also I grew up in rural Wisconsin, even though a lot of it's the same. So
Yeah.
I remember being alone a lot, fending for myself a lot.
Yep.
I remember like my grandparents or other parents showing up for me because they were working or like going out still together. Like they party. I mean, I'm not saying partying like they were like,
but they're 20. They're in their 20s.
They were gone.
They were busy. They were booked and busy too.
I started babysitting my brother, like I swear, when I was like 8 and he was 5.
When was your first like money gig? Like babysitting, like if you babysat for somebody else?
Oh, in 4th grade. I could start babysitting my cousins in 4th grade. Unfortunately, I got lice once and had to go home. But I would babysit.
How did you recognize you had lice? Do you guys know I live in fear of it.
Have you ever had it? Well, your hair can't handle it, honey. You'd be a whole hive. No, you'd have a whole community in there. You'd have a continent.
Shave it right down to the ground.
I can't believe you haven't had it with that beautiful hair.
Not with the boys either.
Really?
I don't know how we dodged it.
Well, maybe you're hygienic.
No, it's not about that.
Run rampant through my childhood household and my adult household. Ew. Anyway, we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. I made money babysitting, and we'll talk about it later. We've already over an hour.
Oh, what?
How does that happen?
Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm sorry. We're going to go 45.
We're so happy you're here.
Yes.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope wherever you happen to be listening to this, fingers crossed the craziness of the world is settling down, that you're safe, that you're feeling good. And if you're not, we're happy to have you here so we can have the giggles and a good girlfriend conversation.
Always.
So stay tuned. We'll see you next week for more. And we're so happy you're here. Love you back.
Thank you guys. Love you.
You guys, do us a huge favor, please. Will you like this podcast, share it, or subscribe? Because that helps, right, Bex?
It will help us a ton.
It will. And I don't know if we've helped you, but if you don't mind helping us, that'd be great.
Fair's fair.
Love you.